Is there a particular way that I need to hold on to my helmet?
For
Maybe.
your fucking life, cuz we're live!
Hey, we're the live?
Where's
Is it
the announcement?
is it true? I'm getting the announcement in just a moment here. There's the announcement, and now I'm still waiting to see it go live. Did it go live?
Ha!
Uni-humans, how could you fault
This is a
me?
triumph.
Hey, and there
Woo!
we go. I see it now. We are live, and I guess we'll just wait for some
Yay!
people to file in here.
Slowly
Um,
but surely.
but as I guess we're waiting for people to file in here, how are you guys doing? How
Oh,
was your day?
Brian, my day has been amazing. I played some Portal today because I have never played Portal. It's quite good. I'm also drinking a Surge right now. It's very delicious. I've never had Surge in my life, and it is quite scrumptious. I'm also I had like 3 meetings today.
Oh shit.
Yeah, or I had 2 meetings in a row before this podcast about stuff. Good things, all very good things, but oh my goodness, have I been busy. And then also earlier today I like had to make 2 phone calls unrelated to Kruby things, but I had 2 different Kruby phone calls today. All amazing, awesome, wonderful, beautiful things are happening in our future. Huzzah! Life is precious.
Hell
Yay.
yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much been it, fam. And like last night I heckin' watched anime with like this nerd named like Brian or whatever.
Oh
Like I don't
fuck.
know.
That guy sounds terrible.
Yeah, he was pretty I don't know if you'd want to meet him. We watched Dragon Maids, it was pretty lit.
Oh shit. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that sounds like a good time
I guess
minus
that's
500.
technically today because it was like 2 in the morning.
Fuck yeah, it was.
God. How do you
Because we're heckin'
people.
weebs.
Ugh. Well, I did not get to have social time. I had work.
Oh,
Um,
beans.
Oh, fucking lame.
yeah, that sucks, bro. But, you know what? I'm really enjoying my work, but I'd enjoy it more if I didn't have school, which is now at the same time as work. So that's fun.
Yeah,
Oh.
But,
that's yikes.
fortunately for
Remember
me,
school.
I still have plenty of time to search Reddit for fresh memes. Unfortunately, that was not today, though. There will be fresh
For
memes next
heckin'
time.
fresh memes.
Ah.
Heckin' dank momos.
Well, I would like to welcome everybody to the Stram.
Woo!
Uh, Hello, my name is Brian. I am the head of the audio department here at KRWBY Productions. I voice Neptune for Ruby Aburged, and I've done some righty things and some well, no, I haven't really done directy things, but I've
You've
done.
been a voice director.
Yeah, okay, I've been a voice director. That's true. I've done things. Hey, Ian, who are you? What do you do?
Hey, Brian, like you have also done the things. My things presently include adminning for our community Discord. You can
Woo!
find me there at Venthris. Please let me know if you have any questions or problems. I will happily listen to you. And
Yay!
I generally include being a giant nerd.
Ah, yes, I also fall under that category. How about you, Katie?
Oh, geez. Hi, everybody. My name is Katie. I go by Connie Day on the internet. That's Kaniday. At KRWBY Productions, I'm a producer director boy. I do behind the scenes stuff. I also am an actress. I play Waishni, Penny Paladonna. I only say Peladonuts. I don't.
It's Paulandina.
Paulandina. I've called her Peladonuts for so long I can't even remember her real name. I'm also Cinderfall and of course Velvet the Chocolate Rabbit because that's just her name now. I'm also this one like random background faunus in one episode and it's my favorite thing that I've ever done. So listen out for that. And I also have been a writer on the team as well. I wear a lot of hats here and I've been here a while and you know I just want to make awesome stuff. I'm also on this podcast. Hooray! On the
Yay.
internet, I also have another podcast, the Weird Flex Bouquet podcast, that's coming back in a few weeks. And yeah, I think that's all that exists about me. Maybe Dr. Crafty. I don't know. Yay!
Exciting.
Also, I love
Yeah.
D&D. That's who I am as a person. That's all that
Yeah.
exists about Katie.
Thoughts on VA Yusuke Kobayashi? He is life. That boy, somebody give that boy a medal. I love that boy.
Yeah, Kobayashi's is real good. It's a good anime.
I'm finally
Yusuke,
getting season 2.
for anybody who
Finally.
doesn't for anybody who doesn't know, if as long as I'm remembering this correctly, Yusuke Kobayashi is the Japanese VA of Subaru, I believe.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
And Sean Chiplock is our English VA boy.
Yes, and Sean Chiplock is the English VA for Subaru.
He is a good boy.
let me just double check that I'm getting that right. Hang on, I'm pretty sure.
So
No,
while
yeah,
you're
it's Sean
double
Chiplock.
checking that, I took
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
advice, Brian,
Yeah,
and
he
I
plays
actually rewatched all of ReZero from scratch.
Oh, did you really?
I did. It hurt. It hurt a lot.
Yeah. Why did it hurt?
Oh, Subaru getting the crap kicked out of him by Julius. And
Yeah.
the various things that he said and did, both Julius and Subaru, in that time, it was just no, that just make it stop, please. I'm supposed to relate to you. This makes me feel like I'm a terrible person.
Because I still relate to you. Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. I had to skip over
Yeah.
a few bits just because it made me feel so terrible.
It's like it's a slap in it's like a really like hard slap in the face of like, and now it is revealed that you, Mr. Audience Member, are also a piece of shit.
Like, thank you for reminding me I'm a flaming
Yeah.
piece of hot garbage. No offense, Wedge.
Uh yeah, unfortunately Forrest isn't here right now. Supposedly he'll be here a little later. He couldn't be here for the beginning, but I'm sure he'll be here by the time we get around to talking about ReZero. By the way, speaking of ReZero, I know that the name says ReZero Season 2 Episode 8, and we will talk about that, but that comes later. We have some other segments that we need to get to first.
Of course we do.
So, before we talk about the ReZeros, we are going to first talk about a little segment. It's called What Are We Watching? And I think I'm going to open it up by asking, hey, Ian, what you been watching?
So recently, I went back and I watched an old favorite of mine that I found on Netflix. Yes, it's an anime. It's called Be the Beginning. It's a psychological thriller. It's a very story in-depth kind of anime, not where everything can fly off the walls and everything's just supposed to make sense at the end. It's a detective story with supernatural elements and prophecies and weird scientific bullshit happening in the background and a lot of deep and heavy backstory. It's a beautiful show animation wise, and the characters are dynamic and not one-dimensional characters. And I think that if you were to give the show a chance, it will suck you right in, and I highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't yet. You can find it on
Hell
Netflix.
yeah.
It's the easiest thing that everybody has.
Hell yeah. No, I know, like, I've seen it around, and I've seen clips from it. Every time I've seen, like, a clip or a screenshot from Be the Beginning, I'm just like, fuck, that looks really pretty.
It's beautiful, and it's got an excellent story to boot.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it looks interesting. All right, who next?
You know what,
Nominate
Brian?
Katie.
I think I'm going to go next because, on the topic of a show that's, it's really deep and
Ugh.
introspective and, serious and, really like compel. Yeah, it's none of those things. I'm talking about a show called HX Eros. I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Super HX Eros. Yeah.
Yeah, Super HX Eros or Heroes or Hexros, however you want to say it.
I think the Japanese title is like Dokyu Hentai Egoserosu or something like that. Yeah.
And so to jump right into that beautiful keyword Brian just said, hentai. So this show has somehow been picked up by Funimation, I believe.
Yep, Funimation.
And you know how they are. It's more just like your regular run-of-the-mill anime where you're just like, your typical shonen, like there's not like a lot of like ass and titties out or nothing, but no. This show is about horny Power Rangers that get naked every episode. But the censorship is crazy. Like there's these like stars, these huge stars, and this
man.
and this smoke, this white smoke that covers like it's at one point covered 90% of the screen because
Yeah.
Oh my god.
because apparently there's a lot of nudity in the show, which understandably, because the plot is that these high school kids that are unbelievably ripped and beautiful, like the boy has too many abs. I'm so confused.
And
And
by the way, the boy is voiced by the same guy as Kirito.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
God.
Kirito Seiyu
No.
in Japanese is the voice actor, the
Yeah.
harem king himself, and he definitely lives up to that title in this show. And the anime is about these people that live in a world that is just like, your normal human world, except one thing. There's these bug monsters that are coming to invade it, and what they're trying to accomplish for some reason is they need to steal all the horny energy, or the H energy as they call it, but I'm calling it the horny energy because
Please
fuck these
explain
bugs.
what H energy
Please.
is.
I will gladly explain what H energy is, my dear
Must
sweet
we?
angel boy. H energy is essentially just horny energy. Anytime you're looking at like a nice anime titty and you feel in your heart, ah, geez, I'm feeling kind of heckin' like horny right now, my dudes. That's H energy, and these bug monsters are like, hey, give that to us. We're gonna steal it, and you're not allowed to feel horny ever again. You know that meme where it's like, I no longer wish to be horny, I only wish to be happy? It's like that, except you're not happy because they steal it. And these guys are the superheroes that are gonna make sure no one steals the horny energy. But in order to do that, they have to themselves accumulate a mass amount of horny energy, and they have these bracelets, sometimes an eye patch for some reason, where the energy is stored, and then they have to be completely naked because sure, and their clothes just disappear, and they go fight like horny Power Rangers. So like magical girls, how they transform and like they get these magical outfits. It's like that, except they get naked. And then yeah, the more horny you are, the more power you have. That is actually how it works. I kid you not.
Yeah, no, it's like it's insane. Like they when they power up their horny, their clothes just explode off.
And then they start punching things, and it's like really like the budget on this show. They put too much into the show. The opening is a bop. It's like an original. It's like
Yeah.
da 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 da
No,
da.
you fucking for anybody who doesn't, who's like seen fucking Dr. Stone,
Yeah.
that like it's the same band that does the opening for Dr. Stone. Like
Yeah.
the opening is a fucking bop, and
They
it's like,
spent
why?
too much on this horny Power Ranger show because the animation is beautiful. At least the animation that I can see when they're not normally censoring everything. Like it's actually to the point where like there are scenes and shots that are like fully like censored, like sensors are on the screen to where you can sometimes not even tell what's happening. So I don't know why Funimation took this show, because it skirms the line of being like, a really, like, I mean, no sex happens, but it's like it's low key like a hentai, like
Yeah, this
like
show
it gets
falls.
that crazy.
This show falls into that category of like that very specific kind of show that I like to call I can't believe it's not hentai.
Yeah, it really is. There's one scene where it could be hentai. I don't know though, because this 90% of the screen was covered up. I don't know what happened in that 5 seconds. It could have been
Yeah.
life-changing, Brian. I have to know.
There's
And no
like-
one on the internet can tell me.
There's like a lot of shots where I'm just like, if you uncensor this, you're just like bearing all like.
Yeah,
what,
there's
like,
there's
I'm curious about the Blu-rays. Let's
yeah,
just
maybe
say
the
that.
maybe the Blu-rays will be fully uncensored, but I have a suspicion that they're still gonna like low-key do the star thing, but maybe they'll remove the fog because they double down on the censorship on it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's honestly like
Mhm.
it's the censorship in this show is so like I feel like the censorship is almost like it could be a response to freaking interspecies reviewers, because the censorship is so intense. They're even censoring underwear and stuff, which is like, why
Yeah,
are you
it's crazy.
going
Like
that
there's this
far
one
with an
time
ecchi show?
where this girl, she's wearing like a cute bra and panties, and then it censors that. It's like, man, we can't even see if her bra is really cute. Like, what if I want that bra? What if I want to go buy one? Like, what if it's really cute? Like, also to Mr. Cartoon Movie Makers, yes, we do look at the chat.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. But yeah, that is the heckin' anime that I've been watching with this weeb named Brian.
It's been a time. It's been a
great.
time.
And yeah, I'm gonna stop there. If you want to read this, or not,
Why on
if you
earth?
want to watch this,
Why on earth did they not just
they
call
put
it libido? It's
they spent like $100 million something bucks on
it's
I know.
just call it freaking libido.
shit.
That's what it is.
I bet they did. Like it's so pretty, and it.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
we're losing Katie.
Katie, we're losing you.
Katie?
I think Katie has
Katie,
fallen
come
to the
back
H
to
energy.
us.
Sorry, I got too excited, y'all. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes.
We can
Okay,
now.
yeah, that's all I have to say. Please carry on. Go to the next anime because I'm so
Oh,
upset and also
yeah.
very happy.
This show is a time, and honestly, the censorship on it is really annoying, and it kind of defeats the purpose, but it's a wild ride. And so if you're interested in a horny wild ride, go check it out. It's on Funimation.
Watch it with friends. Oh my
Yes.
god.
Yes, watch it with friends. It's a fun time.
Not for kids.
Yeah, not for kids.
Definitely not for
Um,
kids.
God no.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
Well, I have been watching an amazing show.
Have you?
This show changed my life
Of
and
course.
floored me in ways that I was not expecting. I just finished watching a little show called B Gotta HK.
Oh my god, Brian! Me too!
Yeah, Katie and I have been watching it together with a friend.
What the
Um,
We
hell
were
is
like
this
commentating. We were commentating on it too. Brian, I'm sorry, Brian. Please go on.
No. So yes, B Gotta HK, otherwise known as Yamada's First Time.
Oh my god.
And this is an old show, by the way. This is like from spring of 2010. Like this show is a
show?
decade old.
What? This show looks
Mhm.
older than that.
Yeah.
It's pretty old. It's pretty old.
And by the way, like Katie and I are just out here like waving our degenerate cards in the air right now.
Yeah, I think at this point they know
Yeah,
what to expect.
For anybody who's in there, like I feel like what's your name? Asterker? I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. Like there is a lot of anime that isn't for kids, that's for sure. But Katie and I skew a little further in another direction.
Yeah, we've witnessed the true degeneracy that the internet and anime have to offer.
Yeah, so don't think that all anime are as horny as the ones we're talking about.
Oh god, no. These are very extreme examples.
Yeah.
I have lost my mind though, you are correct.
But yeah, so B Gotta HK, first and foremost, we watched it in dub.
Yes, we did. Oh my god, it's perfect.
Which we don't normally do. And this show has a really, really good dub. If you watch this show, I recommend watching it dubbed. The main cast is really good. The direction is good. The script is good for the most part. Every now and again, it gets to weird places. But then also, it'll like come out of the woodwork with translations that I think are fucking genius.
Yeah, no, this show definitely knows what it is and it leaned into it hard. It is a hilarious show that if you want to just laugh every episode, watch it.
Yeah. Like it the localization team definitely had some fun with this script because they knew the kind of material that they were working with.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the secondary actors are like, they're maybe not the best, but the gems in the script and the performance of the main cast, I feel like makes up for it. So it is a good dub. I have no idea about the sub. I would imagine the sub is great too. But I would be worried that maybe you would miss out on some beautiful
Why don't you explain the plot to this lovely audience?
All right. So, okay, how to explain B Gotta HK?
Please don't go into character for this.
You only experience it.
I'm sorry. I need to address something in the chat right now.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have watched Hensky.
We just finished that
I'm
too.
probably going to talk about Hensky next week.
Well, I guess I know what I'm not talking about next week.
Yeah, so how to explain B Gotta HK. Alright, so you've got this girl and her name's Yamada, and she has a dream.
She has a dream.
She wants to fuck 100 guys. But she's got one little problem.
Yeah.
She's worried that her vagina looks weird. Her vagine, it's just it looks strange.
Looks strange.
And I mean, now I don't know about you guys, but just in general, I personally feel like all genitalia look weird, so I don't think she's got anything to worry about. But you know, young and dumb.
Yeah, and also just to reiterate, the show never shows like lower genitalia. Like it does not do that. There are some points where it does show like some upper like stuff, because it is like a very 18+ like show.
Yeah.
Just warning, obviously, but you know, putting that out there.
Yeah. So but yeah, so she's concerned about that, and she's worried that if she has sex with guys who are experienced, that they're going to make fun of her for it. And so her solution to this problem is she can only have sex with virgins. And the first guy that she locks in on is this super, like, normal ass, like, quiet, nerdy dude named Kosada.
Mm-hmm.
And the only problem is that she has no idea how to go about the art of seduction, and Kosada has no idea how to respond to being seduced.
Yeah. And so it's actually a very like innocent, like, because you hear the premise of like, oh my god, like she wants to do that with 100 people, but the whole show just centers on their relationship and how they keep fumbling over each other, and she's just like, I want to do the sex, but she's actually a very nervous, insecure wreck, and so is he, and it's about them kind of coming together and trying to communicate horribly to each other. So it's actually kind of a wholesome show, despite how degenerate it is.
Yeah, like it's really, really interesting, and yeah, they do the communication very, very badly, and it's kind
So
of like,
bad.
and as far as like the innocence is concerned, like that is, I think, one of the things that makes the show so fun, because she's like out here like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck 100 guys, and then the first time like she comes face to face with a boner, she like runs off.
Yeah.
Like, because she just doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
So
she's very
it's really cute and really funny.
Mhm.
I
But
think this
yeah,
is
like,
one of those moments where it's not like she doesn't have a dream that's too big. It's just that she should maybe take it in a step-by-step process of just getting laid once, perhaps, before
No, yeah,
going
and
to
it
the
actually
$100 mark.
it's actually kind of a cute commentary on how in your youth you have this idea and these expectations of like what, you know, sex is supposed to be, or this or that, or it's this important thing, but in reality you kind of learn that, you know, it's about kind of those interpersonal relationships and like finding someone that you're interested in, that you feel comfortable with. I mean, you know, on paper that should be what it's about, and it should in what's it called, in
practice.
theory. Yeah, in practice though, it's actually just very like funny, and you get infuriated with how much they can't talk to each other. But there is the underlying like theme there that I think is worth mentioning.
Oh yeah, no, it like, and it's like it's really it can be frustrating at times, and honestly, like throughout most of the show, like poor Kosada is just like agonizing over Yamada being like, I don't understand. Like, she had me touch her breasts, but then she tells me she hates me? What's going on?
Yeah,
And
she's kind of a terrible person. You should
and
go
I'm just
in
like,
knowing that.
I'm just over here like, dude, stop agonizing over this girl. She's crazy. Go find a better one.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, because at first I was actually really excited at the premise of a woman that is like 100% confident in her sexuality. She's like, this is what I want. I'm going to go get it.
Not confident in her
No,
sexuality.
no,
at
I'm
all.
getting there. I'm getting there. At first, when I watched it, because the way they were presenting it, I was like, okay, girl that's like confident in her sexuality, sex positivity, like, oh my God, they're going to be having like a dialogue about like, you know, women, that like, yeah, women can feel this too, and great. But no, she's not confident at all. But it's actually kind of kind of sweet because in youth there is kind of a realism to the fact that like you feel like you understand something but you actually really don't, especially when you're put to the test. You realize how inexperienced and how unsure you really are, and the only way to get there is through like, you know, vulnerability and being honest with each other, but they keep lying to each other about what they really want. Well, he doesn't. He actually is a good boy that straight up is
gives
so
her
honest with.
so many goddamn chances.
Yeah, and then she keeps doing this thing where she'll like run the opposite direction and do the tsundere thing, but to the extreme, and it's just really frustrating. Because
Yeah.
I would love if she was actually like if they did this same premise, but like in the adult world where she actually communicated her needs like intensely, I would like love that. But no, we get it kind of mixed in with the youthful like not understanding, like, and that's, you know, it's kind of, it's sweet, and it creates a lot of funny situations.
Yeah. And so, but the main reason that I wanted to bring this show up, and I'm going to try to talk about this without doing any spoilers, um, but the main reason that I was kind of really blown away by this anime is I have never before, like it at the end of the show, like the last two episodes or so, I have never seen a show balance such extreme levels of horny with such extreme levels of wholesomeness simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was blown away by like the fact that there were scenes going on that were like ultimate horny scenes, and I was sitting there being like, why do I feel like extreme strong feelings other than horny right now?
Yeah, you don't expect it. It definitely catches you off guard.
Yeah. So that in and of itself was honestly, I thought, really, really impressive that they managed to strike that balance so well by the end. And it's a really fun time. So I definitely recommend Bigata HK for anybody who likes the kind of like horny, ecchi genre, but also is maybe likes that wholesome good shit.
But also comedy. Dear God.
But also comedy. Yeah, there's a lot of good comedy, and like I said earlier, the English dub has some gems.
Oh yeah. It's
So,
it's good.
uh,
Well, are we
so
ready to move on to our next segment, Brian?
oh boy. All right. I think it's time.
Oh,
Uh,
must we?
I think we have to, Ian.
I think it's time, everyone. Please tell the
Alright.
audience, if there's anyone new here, what's about to happen.
Okay.
So for anybody new who's filing in, don't worry, we're still gonna get to ReZero, but we have one more segment that we have to get through first, and it's a little segment that I do that I like to call "What the hell happened in Sword Art Online this week."
Here we go.
Wait, and isn't this the last one you're doing of this variety?
Yes, this is the last one I am doing of this
Would
variety.
you say it's the last one of this length?
Yes, for sure. So I have been recapping all of SAO in an attempt to get caught up with where the show is currently airing so that we can talk about the show week to week. And this recap is the one that's going to get us completely caught up to where the show is currently. I also have a particular way of doing this. I have a character, and this character is very angry. And basically it amounts to a 25 minute long rant about SAO and all of the things that makes SAO suck. So be prepared for that. But yeah, so today is the final long recap. I am recapping a full 20 episodes of Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld, which is the second season of Alicization. So, yeah, I guess there's nothing else to do now but just do it. Watch Forrest come in and just be like super confused about what's happening.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Of course he would.
All right. Here we go. Virtual reality. Collecting waifus. Sexual assault. Terrible writing. Long ago, the two realms of the underworld lived together in a Cold War-type stalemate. Then, everything changed when the Americans attacked. Only the Kirito, master of all overpowered shonen protags, could stop them. But when the underworld needed him most, he vanished. Like a month passed, and Alice discovered the new Kirito, who was actually the same Kirito but in a coma. And although his OP protag powers are great, he needs to not be in a coma before he's ready to save anyone.
God
But
damn it.
Alice believes that Kirito can save the underworld.
God fucking damn it.
Yes, that is correct, my friends. After the attackers on Ocean Turtle cut the power, a power surge made its way to Kirito's STL unit, fried his brain, and sent him into a coma. Or, that's the explanation that I'd like to be able to give. But Reki Kawahara had other ideas. Apparently, in his mind, that explanation was too reasonable. And this is Sword Art Online. We need to ridiculous this up. And ridiculous this up he did. Because the actual explanation is that in the moment that the power surge happened, Kirito was arguing with Mr. Government JSDF Man over the morality of what they were doing in Project Alicization. And for being involved in such a project, and for letting so many people in the underworld and the real world down, in this moment, Kirito hated himself. And when the power surge hit, that hatred for himself manifested into reality and deleted the thing that it did not like. Himself. Or, more specifically, his ego or his sense of self. Leaving him as an empty shell with no idea who he is, no way to speak, and only mildly reacting to the things that trigger free-floating memories in his head. That is the explanation given as to how Kirito went from the hero of Aincrad to the vegetable of Aincrad. Now, Alice wakes up in time to see the power surge happen, and she's like, "Oh God, Kirito got zapped! That's not good!" And then Bakuli shows up, because apparently he's not dead, and also no longer made of stone for some reason. And he's like, "Kirito will be back. Don't worry, Alice. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, with the Pontifex gone, we need to get ready for the final load test." And so, with the help of the Integrity Knights and the Axiom Church, which is now being led by Bakuli, they start to raise an army throughout the human realm. And Alice sticks around for a bit. But then one day, she overhears some people talking about the fact that Kirito, the man who killed the Pontifex, still hasn't been put to death. And that not having him pay the price for his crimes is crazy and blasphemous. So fearing for Kirito's safety, in the dead of night, Alice grabs Kirito, gets on her dragon, and she defects. And her defection leads her to Rulid Village, her childhood home that she can no longer remember. She meets her father and asks for permission to once again live within the village borders, to which her father promptly replies, "No! Fuck off! Your fingers crossed the threshold into the no-no land that one time! I can never forgive you." And so, Alice instead builds a small cottage outside of Rulid Village, helps a merchant chop down trees for a small amount of pay, and rebuilds her relationship with her sister Selka, all while taking care of a comatose Kirito. This becomes her life for 6 months. And in all honesty, this first episode of War of Underworld and its intense focus on Alice's struggle to figure out who she is and what her place in the world is now that she no longer bears the title of Integrity Knight is legitimately good and might actually be one of my favorite episodes in the entire series. But This is Sword Art Online. So obviously that doesn't last. Toward the end of that 6 months, Ruled Village suddenly comes under attack by goblins. Alice rushes to help, only to find the villagers actually preparing to defend the village rather than run away because they're dumb. And Alice is like, you can't stay and defend the village, you'll die, you need to leave. And they're like, screw you, sinner! This is our village, we do what we want! Plus, you're a sinner and we're not, therefore we outrank you. And Alice is like, yeah, actually I'm an integrity knight, so I actually outrank the fuck out of all of you. And they're like, oh shit, okay, I guess we'll listen to you then. And Alice's dad is also like, oh wait, you're an integrity knight? I respect you now. And Alice is happy about this, but if I were her, I'd be like, fuck you, Dad! You only respect me now that I'm wearing shiny armor? What happened to unconditional fatherly love? Also, don't think that I've forgotten the fact that you just handed me no questions asked to that integrity knight 8 years ago. I mean, I guess I did forget because my memories were removed, but still, go fuck yourself! So, Alice uses her integrity knight powers and her dragon to save Ruled Village. And now having found new people to protect and a new reason to fight, Alice decides to return to the Order with Kirito to participate in the final load test. Now, it's time to return our attention back to the real world on board Ocean Turtle. The main guy who is leading the attack on Ocean Turtle is named Gabriel, and he's an American. And he has been covertly hired by the NSA to infiltrate Ocean Turtle and steal Alice's Fluctlight. They, of course, want Alice's Fluctlight because she's the first Fluctlight to break the taboo index of her own free will, meaning that she is the true, sentient, and fully autonomous AI that they've been dreaming of. How Alice differs from Yui? I'm not entirely sure, but apparently they're different. Now, during the attack, the Ocean Turtle team was forced to abandon the main control room and fell back to the sub-control room. However, before they evacuated, they managed to lock up all the systems in the main control room very tightly. So when the Americans arrived, they were not able to just automatically eject Alice's Fluctlight and yeet themselves out of there. This also triggered perhaps my favorite line of the entire show. Listen up! This console is locked tighter than a pile of dried turds. It just doesn't get better than that, you know? They also can't get to the sub-control room because it's behind some really thick bulkhead that would take too long to cut through or something. One would think that such a bulkhead would have been a good idea for the main control room as well, but alas, it seems the designers of the Ocean Turtle just weren't that smart. So now, having been isolated from their objective, Gabriel comes up with a galaxy brain plan to retrieve Alice. They must dive into the underworld themselves and forcibly retrieve her via the World End Altar. However, all of the god-powered admin accounts are locked, except, of course, for the bad guy accounts associated with the Dark Territory. So Gabriel decides to log in as the Dark Emperor Vecta, and his crazy right-hand man, Vasago, I don't know how to pronounce his name, logged in as the Dark Knight. And no, I'm sorry to tell you, that was just the character's name. He did not log in as Batman, despite how cool that would have been.
Right.
So, both Gabriel and Vasago arrive in the underworld as their new god-level admin characters, and immediately, everyone in the Dark Territory bows down to them, since they're playing as the Dark Territory's deities of legend. Now, within the Dark Territory, there are multiple races. There are, like, goblins and orcs and, like, some magic witch people that all have big boobs. There's muscly red people, there's wolf people, there's night people, there's all sorts of people. Now, some of the night people actually want peace with the human realm. And since the Dark Emperor Vecta just showed up and was like, a death to the human realm, we're gonna go on a crusade against the humans. Also, I want a girl named Alice for reasons. Bring me anyone named Alice. The top night people are now like, yeah, no, we're not about that, fam. You're kind of stepping on what we wanted to do, so, assassination time. So they send an assassination after Gabriel, and Gabriel kills the assassin. But then, after he kills her, he sees her soul, like, come out of her forehead, and then we get a flashback to baby Gabriel, and that's when shit gets fucked. You see, baby Gabriel was obsessed with death, and more specifically, was obsessed with where the human soul was located within the body. And so, purely out of curiosity, he murders his childhood friend, conveniently named Alicia, with a spike! He drives a spike through her ear and into her head! It was brutal! And this child is like, what, 6? 8? Where are your parents? And what are they teaching you? But it gets worse. Because after he kills Alicia, her soul comes out of her forehead too. And it, like, flows into him, and he's like, whoa, this is an amazing feeling. I need more of this. So he became a contract killer because he keeps wanting to experience other people's souls. But it's never happened again until this assassination attempt. So upon seeing her soul come out of her forehead, he then eats it. He eats her fucking soul! And then he thinks about the fact that supposedly Alice is the perfected version of a Fluctlight, and therefore her soul should taste even sweeter? So from here on, he's like, fuck the NSA! I'm hunting down Alice because I want to eat her soul! That's literally his motivation now. His motivation is that he wants to eat Alice's soul! What the fuck? How did we get here?
God.
So that was the thing. Meanwhile, back in the human realm, Alice meets up with the human army as they prepare for the final load test. And upon her return, Bakuli greets her, and he's like, ah, Alice, nice of you to join us. And Kirito, still in a coma, I see. And Alice is like, hey, be gentle with him. He's in a coma. And Bakuli's like, psh, I don't need to be gentle with him. Watch this. And he goes like, and there's a big clanging sound. But visually, nothing happens, and Alice is like, what just happened? And Bakuli is like, I attacked him. It was so fast you couldn't see it, but I threw a dagger at him, and he deflected it with his sheer willpower while in a coma. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. Look it up. It's probably clipped on YouTube somewhere. It's fucking hilarious. You know, for as much as I bash on this show, it can be really fun. Because sometimes it'll pull stuff like this. It's just so ridiculously over the top that it's just utterly hysterical, and you just can't stay mad at it, you know? So, with the army and Integrity Knights assembled, which the Dark Territories army still greatly outnumbers, they move into position, the gates between the two realms break, soldiers from the Dark Territory start flooding in, and the final load test, otherwise known as the War of Underworld, has begun. Now, from here on out, we're gonna jump around a lot, because most of the rest of the season is just fighting, so we're only gonna touch on things that are either primary plot points, or things that are insanely stupid. Because as much as I would love to hit on everything that's stupid, if I did that with War of Underworld, we'd be here all day. So sadly, I've been forced to cherry pick only the best. Stupid thing number 1. I have a picture for this. Can you call up this picture, please, Ian?
Pulling
the
up
good
slide
people,
number 1.
the good people need to see this. Where's my picture? God, this is just
It's
one
up
of
now. Enjoy.
Okay. Do you see this bullshit? What the fuck is this? How is this supposed to work? It's like a telescope, but he's just holding the fucking... No! That's not how it works! I don't know why this fills me with such rage, because honestly, this is really nitpicky even for me, but this fills me with an extreme amount of rage. Get a real looking glass! Okay. You can take it away now. I can't look at it anymore. Put the picture back, please. Huh. Okay, stupid thing number 2. Alice takes Kirito to the front lines. She took a coma patient to the front lines of a war zone. What are you doing, Alice? Your attachment to this boy is going to get him killed. All right, now for some plot things. There's an Integrity Knight named Renly who's a coward, and he runs away back to camp. And Kirito is now back in camp, probably because the two girls Alice assigned to take care of Kirito, who happen to be the disciples Kirito and Yuju had at Swordcraft Academy, are a lot smarter than Alice, and decided the front lines of a war zone wasn't the best place for a coma patient. Then the camp gets attacked, and Renly mans up and protects Kirito. And then, with his newfound confidence, he goes back to the front lines. Oh, and also he finds out the Dark Lord Vecta is after Alice. That's very important. Then, back on the front lines, Alice uses a massive sacred art to blow away hundreds of people all at once. It was pretty badass. And then there's another Integrity Knight named Sheta, and she scares me. She likes to slash things. She likes to slash things so much that she tries not to interact with people for fear that extended interaction will lead to her slashing them. And she fights this muscly red guy, and he likes her because she's tough, and she likes him because his muscles are so hard that it's hard for her to slash him. So it's like some kind of demented match made in heaven, I guess. Meanwhile, the big-boobed witch people need more magic power, so Chief Big-Boobed Witch Girl requests sacrificing a bunch of orcs, and Gabriel grants her request, much to the dismay of the orc chief, and then a bunch of his people are sacrificed, including his wife or something? So needless to say, he's not too happy with the politics of the Dark Forces right now. And then Alice comes in and blows away the main witch girl. I honestly can't remember the details. All I remember is that main witch girl gets obliterated. Now, back on Ocean Turtle, Asuna has the same idea as the attackers. She wants to log into the underworld to retrieve Alice first. So she does that using one of the Human Realm admin accounts and logs in as Stacia, the goddess of creation. She helps the humans by creating giant rifts in the ground and actually manages to kill the Dark Knight. Oh, I forgot to mention, if one of these admin accounts dies, you can't get that account back. That account is gone for good, which is great for the plot, but a massively stupid system for the engineers on Ocean Turtle to have designed. But either way, as a result, the Dark Knight is gone for good. So then, in a down period, Asuna gets to see Kirito, and she's sad, but also happy. And then Alice shows up, and she wants to murder Asuna. She's like, "Keep your hands off my Kirito!" And Asuna's like, "Oh, excuse me? You're Kirito? Fuck off, you Fate Stay Night Saber ripoff bitch! He's my Kirito!"
God.
And then, one by one, all of the waifus that Kirito has collected over the entire Alicization arc come out of the woodwork going, "No, I love Kirito more. No, I love Kirito more. Well, I made Kirito tea every day. Well, I taught Kirito some sword skills. Well, I lived with Kirito for 6 months all alone in a log cabin and took care of him." And then Asuna comes in and shuts everybody down with, "I fought alongside him for 2 years, lived and slept together in the same bed with him for 1.5 years, had a digital child with him, and also he's my boyfriend, so back the fuck off!" And everybody complies with that.
Damn.
Now, at this point, Asuna makes everyone aware that the real world is a thing, and that is the place where she is from. And she gives a basic rundown of what's happening on Ocean Turtle. Meanwhile, the hacker on the American team, Critter, puts out a fake beta testing call to a bunch of American players, and then thousands of American players who think they're beta testing a game join the side of the Dark Territory and start slaughtering the human soldiers. And my god, the English is glorious.
Oh, it's so bad.
But hope is not lost, because Yui sees this beta testing call, somehow realizes what this means, and goes running to Sinon and Lifa for help. They then promptly march their butts over to Wrath's Japanese facility and demand to be let into the underworld. And surprisingly, that works. However, before going to the underworld, they meet up with the Kirito crew in ALO, and they hatch a plan to get a bunch of Japanese players to dive into the underworld just like the American players did, and have the Japanese players fight alongside the human army. So, Lisbeth assembles a massive audience of ALO players and gives a heartfelt speech asking for their help in protecting the people of Underworld. And I find it very interesting that the people objected more to losing their character data rather than the prospect of feeling real pain if they died. But I guess I'm not an RPG player, so I wouldn't understand. Ultimately, though, this speech works. But back in the underworld, things aren't going so well. The added American players are causing real problems, and in the commotion, Alice is nabbed by Gabriel, and he starts heading toward the World End altar with her. Asuna and the rest of the army give chase, only to be stopped by a new wave of beta testers. And just as all hope seems lost, a figure appears in the sun and rains hellfire down on the new players, obliterating them all. And as the backlight fades, it's revealed that this savior is none other than Sinon. And that means it's time to change the picture, because we've now reached the core that's currently airing. And in the interest of getting caught up as soon as possible, we're gonna rocket through this. Are you ready?
Ready.
Here we go. Sinon has logged in as the sun goddess Solace, and she's so happy to see Kirito that she gives him a kiss on the cheek, which somehow Asuna doesn't kill her for. Meanwhile, Leafa logs in as Terraria, the earth goddess, and promptly gets tentacle raped by the big-boobed witch chief who is apparently still alive, because it wouldn't be a true season of SAO without some good old-fashioned sexual assault. But the orc chief gets mad about it, overcomes the seal of the right eye, manages to free Leafa, and Leafa then makes quick work of the big-boobed witch chief, cementing her and the orc chief as friends. Also, all of the Alfheim players log in and start helping. Then, back on Ocean Turtle, the sciencey guy realizes that Kirito's brain activity spiked when his waifu's logged in, and he hypothesizes that, I shit you not, if they connect Kirito's brain with all of his waifu's brains, they can use the images his waifus have in their head of who Kirito is to restore Kirito's self-image. It's so stupid it just might work. Then, back within Underworld, Miss I Like to Slice Things lady talks with Mr. Muscly Red Boy about how strong their children would be, and she's found herself in a bit of a state of shock because she doesn't want to slash him. And she even opens up saying, I've been slashing things for so many hundreds of years, and I finally know why I spent so much time slashing things. The reason I spent so many years slashing things was so that I could find the one thing I didn't want to slash. And the worst part is, that's barely paraphrased. That's almost word for word what she says. Also, Bakuli fights the Dark Emperor Vecta, and he manages to kill him, but at the cost of his own life. And Alice is sad about it, and it's almost actually sad. But then Bakuli and his dragon are ghosts looking down on Alice, all Star Wars style. And then the Pontifex is there as a ghost for some reason. And Bakuli is like, why are you here? And she's like, my ghost is a manifestation of your memories. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then who's remembering Bakuli? Is it the dragon? Is the dragon remembering Bakuli? And if so, who's remembering the dragon? What is this? Some kind of daisy chain of ghostly memories? What is happening right now? Meanwhile, back on Ocean Turtle, Science Boy needs to crawl through some vents to connect Kirito's brain to his waifus, and Secondary Science Boy goes with him as protection. Then, Mr. Government JSDF Man and Ringo finally discover the seal of the right eye, aka Code 871, and realize that this was not implemented by the Pontifex. This was sabotaged by someone on board Ocean Turtle. And surprise, surprise, just as Science Boy is about to connect Kirito's brain to his waifus, Secondary Science Boy pulls a gun on him. It turns out Secondary Science Boy's name is Yanai. And get this, he's the same dude who tentacle raped Asuna back in the Alfheim arc. And if you think that bringing back characters from arcs long past is kind of weird, oh, just you wait. You're about to be in for a rude awakening. It turns out Yanai was in love with the Pontifex and wanted to help her achieve total power, and planned to bring her to the human realm world and stuff. I don't know. He calls her Admi-chan, and I fucking hate it.
So bad.
Anyways, Remember the Dark Knight guy, Visago? Well, he logs back in with his personal account, and it turns out he's Poe, the leader of Laughing Coffin. And just in case you forgot who that is, which I wouldn't blame you for because he's such a minor character, if you've seen Sword Art Online Abridged, maybe this will jog your memory. The dude who's like, Jesus told me to say it. That guy. That's who came back. And he's got this whole sad, edgy backstory about why he's racist towards Japanese people and why he loves Kirito and is so upset to find him in a coma. And if he wasn't already edgy enough, his name, Poe, stands for Prince of Hell. And then randomly, some people from the Ordinal Scale movie show up and then immediately fuck off. And then Yuki's ghost appears and helps Asuna. And Poe somehow has the power to control the masses despite not having a god account anymore. And then Gabriel logs back in with his personal account, which is apparently the dude that Sinon wanted to fight in the next Bullet of Bullets tournament. And he comes back with like a weird flying bat thing, which also doesn't make sense because he no longer has a god account either. And then Sinon fights him, and apparently she has a digital version of the fucking Electrode that saved Kirito back in the Gun Gale arc, and the Electrode saves her by stopping a 50 caliber bullet. The entire fight between her and Gabriel is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. I didn't think it could get any more ridiculous, but the most recent episode, which we're about to get to, topped it like tenfold. Anyways, Asuna fights Poe, and it's super badass, and she puts a comedically massive hole in his chest, yet somehow he's still alive. Come on, why couldn't they let Asuna take the glory for once? Meanwhile, the guy threatening Science Boy with a gun gets scared when a wrench is dropped on the floor, and he just falls off a cliff and dies. Then, Science Boy connects Kirito to his waifus, and we go inside Kirito's head, and it's filled with self-loathing, and Kirito tears a big hole in his chest so he can crush his heart, and it's really gruesome. And then Asuna, Leafa, and Sinon show up, and they're like, "Don't do it, Kirito. We love you." And Kirito is like, "But I'm terrible, though." And then Yujiro shows up, and like, he actually shows up as an added physical connection on top of Kirito's waifus, which heavily implies that these are actual ghosts and not artistic figments of people's imaginations. And Yujiro is like, "You're not terrible, Kirito. You're great." And Kirito's like, "Oh yeah, I am great, huh?" And after an entire season of being in a coma, he finally wakes up. And for some reason, he's a god now. He was not nearly this strong before he went into the coma, but now he's practically invincible. He fights Poe and wins by turning him into a tree. Then he scoops up Asuna, and Superman flies toward Alice and the World End Altar. Now, also for reasons, the time acceleration in the underworld got broke. And if Kirito doesn't get out of the underworld with Alice in the next 10 minutes, they're going to be trapped in the underworld for 200 years. And that leads us to the most recent episode. Episode 20, The Night Sky Blade, which is hands down one of the single most ridiculous episodes of anime I have ever seen.
Oh my god, yeah.
It starts with Kirito blocking an attack by Gabriel that was directed at Alice, followed by Kirito turning Alice's 2 dragons into eggs. Then Asuna builds a long staircase to the World End Altar that wouldn't have been needed if they had had the dragons, and quickly climbs the staircase with Alice. Then Kirito fights Gabriel and gets cut in half, but he's still fine apparently. And then Gabriel turns into some kind of dark energy monster because, I don't know, there's no explanation as to why or how. It just happens. And then the Blue Rose Sword, which is no longer broken, starts fighting on its own because apparently Yujiro's ghost memories are in it. And then the whole world prays to Kirito. And then Yujiro and Kirito work together to spirit bomb Gabriel. And he explodes in a flurry of comedic screaming that sounds like, "Ah! And then Alice is logged out, but Kirito is too late. And just as Kirito thinks that he's going to be spending the next 200 years in the underworld alone, Asuna shows up because apparently she was waiting for Kirito. And now Kirito and Asuna are trapped in the underworld for 200 years, and that's where the show currently is! We did it, boys! We're caught up! We're finally caught up! I'm free! Fuck y'all! I'm taking a vacation! I'm done!
Brian, I'm sorry. You used all your vacation time to write these scripts.
Can we get a fucking, like, clap in the chat for goddamn Brian? He did it, y'all. All of SAO. He fucking did it. Oh no, I think Brian actually died. F in the chat for Brian.
Oh god.
I'm here.
Brian, did you hear what I said?
What did you say?
I had to sadly remind you that you used all your vacation time writing the script, so...
God damn it, no!
Oh my god. So everyone, I think that's going to be the end of the rants in that form.
At that
And
length, at least.
At that length, at least. Because now, from here on out, I only have to talk about one episode at a time.
Yup.
I'm so excited.
This beautiful boy did it.
Although, I do have a piece of speculation for you. They turned Poe into a tree. He's not dead yet. And
that's true.
I quote,
Is it true?
they said it would take a couple hundred years, or several hundred years, for that to either get fixed or for him to be chopped down, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, they're trapped there for 2 centuries.
I mean, yeah, it's... God, Poe should not have been able to survive what Asuna did to him.
No. I mean, it's... As you said, I believe in your last raid on Alice, or maybe the one before that, willpower is literally a mechanic in this game.
It really is.
Yep.
And actually, the other day, one of the friends that we've been watching Alicization with, like, came up, and he was like, so, I have an idea as to why Kirito is a god now.
Oh, yeah.
It's stupid, but knowing this show, I wouldn't put it past them.
Go on.
His theory was that because in the eyes of his waifus, Kirito is a god, when his sense of self was restored, he became a god because his ego was as strong as what all of his waifus believe him to be.
You know, that's actually why what I thought, because it's not exactly him. It's their images of what he is supposed to be. Including Yujo's, who is probably... He may not be a waifu, but he probably has a similar opinion at this point.
Why the fuck was Yujo there?
Because Yujo put his memories into the sword.
Yep, true.
Like,
there's also one other part of the show that I just want to comment on that you didn't touch on in your monologue.
Oh, what part is that?
There's one part in the most recent episode that caught me off guard, and I know you saw it happen, but there's one point...
I did mention it, but yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, there's one part where Kirito is fighting the big screamy boy, and all of a sudden it cuts back to him, and he just has no legs, and this does not faze Kirito at all. He's just a torso floating around.
Yeah.
And it's so funny and jarring because
so fucking dumb.
It's so bad.
Yep.
It was my favorite thing.
Like, it's so stupid because he's just like half a person, but he's just like posed all like heroic like I'm going to stop you, and it's like, yeah, that's real convincing when there's only half of you, Kirito.
Yeah, and like, but he doesn't even address it in any way. It's just like, yeah, that's right. I don't have legs. What about it? And it was so funny.
Who needs legs when you could fly?
It's true though. It was great.
Like, the thing that I kept coming back to, like, we spent like a good 15 minutes after watching the episode just pondering what the fuck we had watched. Like, and the thing that I kept coming back to was like, why were the dragons eggs?
Yeah,
like, why was that a thing?
It made it less efficient to carry them. They're more fragile.
Like, it makes no goddamn sense.
Honestly, The thing that I took away more from was this was not my favorite fight of the season.
No, no. Honestly, my favorite fight of the season was I think Osna versus Poe.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
really. It was like or Berkuli and the Dark Emperor.
Oh, that had some cool animation in it
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
they had to change the art style for that fight.
Yeah. Well, I think that's because they hired like a freelance like a high level freelance animator who like specializes in that kind of stuff. So the style was a little different.
I mean, it was not a complaint, but it was just this had to be so high budget that they had to change the art style for that episode just to make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, the animation was fucking incredible. But
One
yeah,
more thing, the
go ahead.
opening is fucking amazing.
Oh, the opening is a bop.
So many
Yeah,
It's
bops.
a
the
fucking
like
banger.
that's one thing that SAO has had for like a good while is like pretty much like SAO's openings are usually bops, despite the overall quality of the show itself.
I mean,
Uh,
something's got to carry the show.
uh, yeah, but whew, well,
Hmm.
I am I am sad because we still have no forest.
It's true.
Yeah, how strange. Maybe he'll join us, maybe he won't.
This is
Uh,
true. Well, maybe now we can talk about the
but
meat of
yeah,
this podcast.
Are
I
you sure
think
this
it's
is the meat?
finally
This sounds
time.
like dessert at this point.
You know, fair.
Yeah, I think it's time to talk about that good ReZero.
Hmm.
So, for everybody watching, we are now talking about ReZero Season 2, Episode 8, The Value of Life.
The Value of Life, a title that when we first saw, we were terrified of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
We
episode
Uh,
thought
was
we
more
were gonna get
terrifying than
some.
I
so I am
expected.
now. Now. Fair warning, just like everybody, uh, just like we do every time. Spoilers.
I mean,
Spoilers
if you're
for
here with the title ReZero Season 2, Episode 8, I
yeah,
think it's fair to assume we're gonna talk about the episode.
And
yeah.
at this point, if you sat through the spoilers for SAO, because after that,
Mm,
you're probably already aware that there are spoilers involved. To be prepared.
Yeah.
yeah. So, this episode, holy fuck.
Oh my god, it was intense.
This might be one of the most intense and probably the most brutal episode of ReZero I have ever seen.
It's brutal. Where do we pick up? I forget.
So, basically, we pick up right after Subaru has been released from confinement.
Yep.
Um, and they're like, okay, we need to run. And Subaru's like, no, I need to meet with Rosewall first. And he goes and he talks with Rosewall, and he asks Rosewall if Beatrice is a member of the witches' cult.
Yeah,
And
he just comes out right and asks too. That's when we
yeah,
knew it was going to be a juicy episode because he's being upfront.
yeah, and so we get in we get an interesting answer. Rosewall states that Beatrice is not a member of the witches' cult, and the book she was holding was not the gospel. It only closely resembles a gospel. It's a
Hmm.
magical text that tells the true future, of which only two copies exist in the world. And it is the closest thing there is to the Tome of Wisdom.
Hmm.
And the reason Beatrice called it the Gospel was because the book lacks an official name, therefore, it's given the same name as the quote unquote defective versions.
So essentially, it's a way for them to be sneaky and get to call it a gospel, but then back out of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the thing. And so we know that at the very least, Beatrice isn't a member of the witches' cult, but she's definitely involved with some witchy things. She must be. And Rosewall, well, if I can talk, Rosewall reminds Subaru to tell Beatrice Rosewall said you are to ask the question. And Rosewall elaborates only slightly further by telling Subaru that after Beatrice asks the question, he should respond with, I am that person. And after that, Beatrice will undoubtedly ally with Subaru, because this is apparently a contract that Beatrice is powerless to override. Anonymous Hayabusa and Joshua Killer, both answers are correct. It is correct that you love Amelia, and it is correct to like Rom.
Except Joshua Killer. Well, no, I'm sorry. They forgot the other best waifu, Rem. Rem is best waifu.
Beatrice is best girl.
You're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Byakuya has not have enough screen time for that.
Oh my
Sorry.
god. Rem's favorite car is a Subaru. Fuck off.
Oh, banned.
No.
I hate it.
God.
Yeah. So, yeah, but this is really, really interesting because we have been speculating for a while now about, like, what is the, like, sloth witch factor and how does that play into Subaru and who is Subaru really and how is he connected with the witch and all of this stuff. And we've definitely, like, we've been really, I guess, thinking we've speculated that maybe he might be like one of the archbishops or something.
Yeah.
Pride.
Yeah, so something like that. So I don't know. What are your, like? Do you guys have any speculation as to what this "I am that person" means?
I do. I want to hear Ian's thoughts first.
I am not sure if that is a question Beatrice is going to ask. I do think though that she might be the win condition for this arc. Like if you are somehow going to be able to make it through with everybody you want to survive, you need to get Beatrice to ask you that question and for you to, I quote, respond in the affirmative.
No light novel spoilers in chat, please.
Please no. This is why I don't look at chat at this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna not look at chat, so hopefully mods will be on that, cause no novel spoilers.
Yep.
So.
I don't think she's going to ask if he is an archbishop. I think it's going to be another question. I don't think it's something we're going to have reference for until she asks the question and he responds, and then she can explain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, like, okay, interesting. How about you, Katie?
So I have kind of a different direction for what I think the question's going to be. I think it's going to be, they're going to go for something that's a bit of a shock factor, that's either going to reveal a big plot point or and not maybe something that we've thought about. So I think when Subaru asks, like, all right, it's time to ask the question, and he's supposed to respond to this question with, I am that person, I think she's going to ask, are you the one that's meant, or are you the one that's going to kill blank or something? Like, are you the one that's going to kill, like, Roswell or like me, or are you the one that's going to save blank or blank? Like, I think it's going to be directly related to another character and it's going to be like a shock factor thing. And Subaru, because I think for dramatic effect, the fact that Roswell is wanting him to say, like, I am that person, I think whatever he's going to be saying that he is something that he isn't going to want to be.
Yeah, I
So,
definitely.
yeah.
Things have not, just historically, things don't go the way Subaru wants most of the time.
Exactly. So, like, that's my only theory in that regard. So, and I don't have any, like, solid evidence or anything that I'm basing that off of. It's just something fun that I've thought about, like, but it's not something that I have any way to really speculate on truly at this time.
Yeah. No, like, I feel like it's gonna be, like, if it's not an archbishop, like it's either gonna be something that we've heard about before, or I suppose it's possible that it could be something brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Like Subaru is like the person from some like long forgotten legend or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. I'm very like with this show. I never know where this show is gonna go. Right.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of it. Is just like it can be really hard to predict this show sometimes.
Yeah.
Um. So let's see. Um. Oh, Subaru also asks Rosewall one final question. He asks Rosewall, "Are you our enemy?" And Rosewall, of course, replies, "Of course not. I'm your ally." To which I'm like, "Sure, we'll go with that for now."
I think Roswell has stated his end goal, and it's not just to get Amelia on the throne. And
Yeah.
I if I mm,
I feel like Rosewall is allied with people as long as being allied with them is within his best interest. And the moment it's
yes,
not within his best interest anymore, it's like they can go fuck themselves.
he
Mm-hmm.
definitely does seem like that type of person, and given his behavior over the past 5 episodes, we have no reason to disagree with that statement. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I I don't know. There's just there's a like we learned some things, but there's just a lot more questions in this episode.
Yeah, and I think in that moment, I don't think it's a situation where Roswell is being outright dishonest. I think, like you just said, that he's going to do things that are mutually beneficial, or at least more beneficial to him until they aren't. And I
Mhm.
think when he says that, I am your ally, or we are your allies, like, because I think earlier when I looked in the chat, someone said maybe there was a translation thing there where he might have meant to say we.
Uh-huh.
I think he definitely means that at this time their goals are aligned. Now it depends on what he thinks the goal is versus what Subaru thinks the goal is. Because I think to Roswell, he thinks the goal is, get Amelia on the throne, but also, keep Amelia safe and and to put Subaru in situations that will benefit Amelia, even if that means, risking Subaru's life. So
Yeah.
he sees himself as an ally to Subaru under the understanding that, yeah, and I know, Subaru, that you're willing to do anything for Amelia. So I'm not endangering you because I don't like you. I just noticed that you're a good pawn.
I just noticed that you will jump at any opportunity to help Amelia, and I'm gonna use that to my advantage.
And to
Like
your advantage because we're allies here.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like the newest episode of UBWA where Shiro was just like, "I'll sell my blood if need be. I will acquire you a surplus of jackets." That is like that's what Subaru is to Amelia.
Yeah. So
uh,
yeah, that's definitely what I think is going on there.
oh man.
Yeah, Roswell
Uh,
uses him like a tool,
yeah.
Yeah.
unashamedly. By the way.
Yeah, but he's not an outright like liar, and I don't think he's gonna do anything like our blonde boy is. Like he's not that level of just gonna turn
Mhm.
on him because he's smart.
Speaking
Yeah.
of,
Yeah. So, while discussing with Rem and Otto about how to leave the sanctuary, Garf catches them.
Yep.
And he says, "You couldn't escape the eyes of this sanctuary." And he later elaborates by saying, "I'm just saying your little plans were leaked." Now, it's possible that he could have, like, used kind of like the clairvoyance that Ram has to like see the through the eyes of animals and stuff, but specifically his wording of your little plans were leaked. This makes me really really suspicious because there's literally only one other person that Subaru talked to about their plans about how to leave the sanctuary and what they were going to do, and that was Rosewall. So I have to sit there and wonder, if Rosewall is actually in fact lying through his teeth and is deliberately sending Garf after Subaru. For
I
what
don't
reason,
know.
I don't know, but that's just the theory that I have in my head right now, because I don't know if he doesn't have some kind of clairvoyance thing. I don't know how else Garf would have found out that Subaru was where Subaru was and by what means he was trying to escape.
Well,
I don't
in
have
terms of
definitive
where
proof.
in terms of where Subaru was, I think we can easily say that the most logical answer is the scent. And since
Oh,
Garth is
sure.
transformed into the giant monster, his smelling is probably off the charts. In terms of like, I guess plan things, I don't remember if Garth said he knew exact Subaru plans or something, but in terms of where he was, I think that's feasible.
He specifically says, "I'm just saying your little plans were leaked."
Here's what I think. Has anybody noticed the elders' clothing?
The
The
Elder's
elders,
clothing.
Yes.
the elders' clothing. You're talking about like the elf girl.
Yes.
What about her clothing?
We see her in two different outfits on the same night.
Oh,
Now, also, if you look at the opening, it shows that there are a great many of those.
and the opening shows that there's like a bunch of her.
Exactly. I think what he means by the eyes of the forest is one of those, perhaps, might have spotted them or
Oh,
observed their conversation without them knowing.
Mm.
Perhaps.
damn. Okay,
Yeah,
I like where you're going with this.
because she was someone that when Subaru was in captivity went and, fed him food. So she was obviously monitoring him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We saw her in a black outfit and a white outfit in the same night.
Yeah. So there's a
Ah,
possibility she's linked to that.
Could be her. Who knows?
didn't
Because
know.
her and
Like I
Garth were
said,
definitely working together because she
they,
was, yeah.
yeah. We don't have any proof, but we will find out.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So that could explain that. But yeah, and then we get to the part where Garth finds them.
Uh,
Yeah. So Rom tries to hold Garf off while Subaru and Otto make a break for it. The villagers help light the path out of the sanctuary, and Garf thwarts them. He turns into a tiger, much bigger,
Much
much
bigger.
bigger than what Frederica turned into.
Yeah.
Um, and then just as Subaru is about to be killed, Otto sacrifices himself to save Subaru. And I remember when we were watching this episode, we were like sitting there being like, fuck. Like that whole like wholesome moment last
Yeah.
episode with
Yeah.
Otto. Were they building him up so that they could kill him? And
Yeah.
yup, that's what was happening.
Yep, they were fattening the sadness pig.
Yup,
yeah.
they sure were.
That's also how you know that he's going to die soon.
Yeah.
Bodies
Which who
start
knows? Maybe we'll
dropping.
get him back because, checkpoints and stuff. But yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get him back, but it's just that's how you know. Oh, this timeline is a wash. Bodies are dropping.
Yeah. Like, it's, yeah, it, like, whoo, this timeline. Okay, let's talk about where this timeline goes, shall we? Um, so, the villagers try to defend Subaru. Even Patarash tries to save Subaru. The villagers all die. Patarashu dies, but Subaru is thrust out of the sanctuary. And then it's not entirely clear to me exactly what happened after that point. It seems like he was transported once again.
Yeah.
And he walks outside to a snow-covered sanctuary.
Oh, before we get to that,
Okay.
I wanted to, because I think you mentioned it like super briefly, but yeah, Garf goes full rage mode to where he's murdering villagers. He's like chomping people. He does not give a fuck either way. Like, because I really just want to reiterate that Garf didn't just bite Otto. No, he's like innocent bystanders. He's like, fuck these bitches.
Yeah.
And then Subaru gets thrown into this force field, and then and that's where we're not sure if he's teleported to another time, to another plane, or if this is in his mindscape. That is where the conversation's going now. So yeah, I just really wanted to kick that point home.
Yeah.
He's gone full Tony the Tiger, crazy steroids boy.
Yeah, like Tony the Tiger is on some shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Subaru.
But Tony the Tiger ain't got nothing on these next animals.
Oh my
Oh,
fucking
God.
God. So Subaru walks outside to a snow-covered sanctuary, and everyone in the sanctuary is gone,
Mm-hmm.
except for some rabbits.
Well, before we get to the rabbits, yeah, he's walking around kind of the same place, and it looks like some time has maybe passed.
Well, yeah, definitely, like, that's very much like implied with the snow and the fact that like everybody's gone. Like
Some time,
we-
but maybe not as much time
some
as
time,
we
but
think.
we don't know exactly how much time.
We don't.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Considering
yeah.
Amelia's powers, who knows?
Yeah,
So there are these rabbits.
there are these rabbits.
They're
These
cute.
fucking rabbits. They are not cute. They're goddamn terrifying.
Yep.
These rabbits eat Subaru alive.
Yes,
And
they do.
one of the most brutal scenes, if not the most brutal scene I've ever seen in the show.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty great.
And I genuinely can't tell because it's really interesting if this is supposed to be a mindscape thing where he's like, where these rabbits are representative of the fact that he's like so overwhelmed and like all this stuff, and you know, they're eating him alive, like his subconscious is eating him alive, like, and they could represent it in that way, or if this is actually a genuine future that he was tossed to and he actually got killed because, yeah, the next scene, he wakes up at his checkpoint. So he either died internally from trauma, like from like an inward response that like heart attack, like panic attack situation, or it was an actual physical death. There's not a way to distinguish right now.
I feel
it's
like
definitely
it was
like
a real death because the stone glowed, like the teleportation trap we had when he was trying to get into the sanctuary.
Yeah.
I get the feeling it was
Or-
either a temporal trap or something else.
Let me rephrase. I can't tell if the death is attributed physically to the rabbits or when he was thrown into the force field.
Yeah.
If he started hallucinating and also his physical body hit something when he was thrown that, you know, and he
Yeah.
died from that, and then the inward thing is just a manifestation. But he did actually physically die. That did happen, but I can't tell if it's actually the rabbits that physically did that or if that's just
That's the question that I have too, because like I have no idea what happened with those rabbits, but all I know is that after the rabbits eat him alive is when he respawns.
Yes.
Which definitely seems to imply that it was real.
Yeah. So there might be some time travel elements there, because I don't think it would have been to the past. I think it would have been to the future.
Yeah.
No, there is a chance that it was to the past, but we didn't see. I mean, I don't want to spoil like the OVA and stuff, but there's definitely a thought that I had about Amelia's backstory and some of the snow stuff that we saw in that makes me think maybe this was a before times thing, potentially. So I think there's some time travel elements that are involved if it's a physical thing, whether it's forward or backwards.
Here's the interesting thing. The first necklace, Frederica's necklace, was a teleport trap. The second one, if my theory is right, was a temporal trap. Funnily enough.
Wait, repeat that?
The first necklace, Frederica's necklace, teleported him when it glowed. Garf's necklace, if my theory is right, seems to have moved him through time instead of space.
Oh, so okay, because I didn't remember that necklace has anything to do with time.
We don't know if there are any particular influences, but it's an interesting thing that one necklace moved him from one location to another, and one might have moved him from one space and time to another. Just a thought.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's definitely really like I don't know. I really want to see where it goes. I really want an answer to exactly what happened there, and hopefully maybe in the next episode we'll get some answers because after this, Subaru meets the person who knows all the things.
Yes, and it's so interesting the way that we get into that into the
Yeah.
the Windows opening screen, because when he wakes up at his saving point, he has officially like descended into madness. Like he
Yeah.
is banging his head against the ground. He has suffered so much. He cannot physically stand the trauma he is just in like he has just felt. And so in that moment, in that insanity, he's just bopping his head. And I think what gets him into the sphere, into the plane with the witch is something that I'm still trying to figure out. I think it's a trauma response because she's been in the back of his head, and maybe she says when he gets there that that like he's met the something of the second trial, I think. And so maybe it's that in that suffering or that ability to do whatever he did to get to the rabbits that made him that made him reach that level of insanity, and that's what is needed to get to the second trial, so to get to the witch lady, I think.
Yeah. Like, uh, basically, so I feel like the explanation of that kind of comes towards the end of the episode where, so yeah, like he responds next to Amelia and he goes crazy, only to be called upon once again by Echidna to join her at her tea party.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets brought into the Windows loading screen,
Yes.
or the Windows background. Um, and she's like, "Hey, welcome to my tea party." And he's like, "Whoa, I feel super calm." And she's like, "Yeah, the the Windows background does that."
Yeah.
you
Which
like
was
the
a
ringtone?
beautiful juxtaposition. Like I love the way that
Yeah.
they did that.
And that's actually not the reason she gives. She says it's like the tea that he drank and like his sloth witch factor and stuff, and like in combination with like bringing him there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she said like if it weren't for that, then Subaru's soul just would have fallen apart after the rabbit thing, which is fair. It was pretty
Yep.
brutal.
Yep.
Yeah, a rabbit eating your eyeball will do that to you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Um. So Subaru asks Echidna to let him remember his time with her. That way his soul doesn't fall apart. And she agrees because it was a rule that like if you're invited to the tea party, you're not allowed to remember anything about the tea party. But she grants him an exception. She grants him an exception because she likes him.
Did she mention that he also met the second trial factor? I thought she said something
I
about
don't
that.
remember that. I don't remember her saying anything about that.
Yeah,
Neither
maybe
do
I'm
I.
remembering wrong.
I don't remember there
Um,
being anything about the episode, and I think I watched about a couple hours before the podcast, and I did not see anything about the second child to my knowledge.
Okay,
yeah.
maybe I'm misremembering because I thought she said something about you've also met a qualification for something. Maybe it wasn't the second trial, but yeah, I
Yeah.
thought she said something about him qualifying for something.
I
She
think she
what
might have
she
qualified for another tea party.
Oh,
Yeah,
that might
that's
be
what it
it. That might
was.
be it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was like, yeah, be grateful. Like I don't normally invite people back. Um, and so basically, yeah. So where? Oh God, my notes. Where am I? So Subaru realizes that for Echidna, this tea party is happening right after the first.
Mm-hmm.
Yet she doesn't find it strange. So Subaru becomes suspicious that she knows about his return by death ability. And
Mm-hmm.
Echidna flat out encourages him to test his hypothesis. So he tells Echidna that he can return by death and nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And he says it again, and she's like, "Yeah, I heard you." And he starts to say it over and over again and breaks down crying as he realizes he's now free to say it as many times as he wants. And
Mm-hmm.
the witch isn't going to come after him. Nobody's going to die. Like, in this moment, he is free.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was beautiful the way they did
yeah.
it.
And Echidna comforts him and tells him that she's been watching him the entire time. She knows his pain, she knows what he's been through, but she doesn't know how he feels or what he thinks about what he's been through. And so, being that she's the Witch of Greed, she asks Subaru to tell her all about it. And I think that is the answer to your question as to like how he got called back, was because Echidna apparently has been watching Subaru from the beginning. She's been watching him the entire time. And so she saw his mind break and was like, okay, I need to go help this boy now.
This one boy who doesn't vomit in my presence.
Yeah. So, he drinks her bodily fluids again.
Yup. He's like, "Yep, forgot about that."
But yeah, that whole scene where he just breaks down and he's just saying it over and over again, like, man, that scene hit. And I was really surprised. Like, I feel like we had talked about it on a previous episode of the podcast, but like, I was expecting like that catharsis of being able to finally say something about what he's been through. Like, I wasn't expecting to get that until like the end of the show.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we talked about it last week,
Yeah.
where we were talking about like he may never get to say that until we're wrapping up the show. It's like it's time for the end credits for the show. Here's the author. Here's all the epic stuff they've done. Here's a recap. Here are all the people you've met. No, he's getting it now. He finally has someone who can.
And
it
actually works really well that they're doing it this way too. Like it feels earned.
Yeah,
it was long in the making.
It definitely does, and it's like, yeah, and it's so cathartic for him to finally say it, you know, and be able to tell somebody.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, that's where we end, and just
like, wow, this was one hell of an episode.
Oh my God, yeah, it was. So I guess now, do we have any theories for the next one?
I think this is the one route. I think this is it. I think this is it.
I mean, I would love to believe that this is the route. I think you're probably right that this is the route, but of course, we now know that Echidna is immune to the different routes. So no matter how many times Subaru dies, like, his talk with Echidna is never going to go away.
No, that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I do think though that he's checked off as many boxes as he can, and I think this is the one where he's going to figure it all out. And it might be this one or the next one that he'll get it down.
Are we gonna get Otto back? That's the thing.
We need to get Otto back. That boy did not deserve to die in that way.
Yeah, like, and all those villagers too. Like that's what makes and Ram. Like I don't think we're gonna lose Ram. I don't think we're gonna lose Ram before we have Rem back.
Yeah, like it very much. Yeah, this was like the worst route for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like, wow.
I think we're gonna get that question from Beatrice soon.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get that question. I want to know so badly.
Because there's how many more episodes? 3?
We're on episode 8, so I think 4. And
wow, this is a short season.
Well, I think what they're doing is it's actually like a 24 episode season, but they're doing like a mid-season break.
Yeah.
Like they did like War of Underworld.
Because I think before the mid-season break, we're gonna get that Beatrice question. Because I think they set that up for this.
They have to. They have to take care of that question.
Yeah.
Because for once, I care more about the question than I do the answer to that question.
Yeah.
That's a unique situation to be in.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. So, oh fuck, the second part comes on in January?
What? What?
Oh no!
No!
You're telling me it's gonna overlap with the Promised Neverland? We have to.
No!
What you mean on the podcast? We have to choose between the Promised Neverland and ReZero?
No.
No!
Are we gonna have to do like alternating episodes and crap? Oh my god,
Oh
no!
no!
That's a heck.
Oh
That's a big heck.
No!
no!
Well, at least it's not gonna conflict with Ruby.
Is
Oh
it
my
actually? It
God.
might.
I hope
'Cause
Oh
not.
god. We'll have to
Ruby
figure
usually-
that out
Yeah,
off
Ruby
screen.
usually runs into the new year.
Yeah, but oh my
So-
god.
When does it start anyway?
Probably pretty soon. Usually it comes on like October.
Soon.
late October?
TM.
Yeah.
Plus or
Soon
minus
TM.
COVID.
Yeah. Well, is that all of our theories for ReZero?
I'm trying to think. Like, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say the same prediction as Ian and say, yeah, I think this next one is the route in which Subaru succeeds. I have a feeling that this next one is gonna be it. I feel like he's not going to make the same mistakes. He's not going to talk to Garf about like his plan to do the trial or anything. I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna come up. He's gonna come back and respawn, and his number one priority is just gonna be get back to the mansion and figure this shit out with Beatrice and figure out this stuff with Frederica and just get Elsa squared away and all that stuff before worrying about like the trial shit with Amelia.
Yeah.
Like that that's my prediction. Well, what about you guys? You got a prediction?
I agree.
Hell yeah.
Alright,
So,
people.
I
Buckle up.
think-
Next week we'll get the answer, hopefully.
Well, dudes, I think we made a podcast.
I think we made a podcast. Good job, guys. We heckin' did it. And I'm done with the SAO week.
Yes, you are.
Now you can go to therapy, like the rest of us.
Oh my god.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. We will be back the same time next week. In the meantime, where can they find everybody here? Ian, where can they find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Venthras, and use the same name for Discord, and you can usually find me there. You will find me lurking most of the time, but message me and I'll get back to you.
Hell yeah. Katie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Connie Official, KANIDAY Official. You can also find me on, of course, Heckin' Dr. Crafty on YouTube and the Weird Flex But Okay podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes, and Twitter, Weird Flex Pod. You can also find me at KRWBY. KRWBY Productions. You can also follow us on Twitter at KRWBY Productions, KRWBY. It's actually RWBYABRG on Twitter, but if you type in KRWBY, we'll come up. We're the one that is awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and you can find me on the KRWBY Productions Discord. I am at Hubbard Audio, and on Twitter I am also at Hubbard Audio. Although I don't post very much, I just kind of stalk Twitter. So, but yeah, that's where you can find me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.